Shout out goes out to our current channel members. If you were interested in picking up a channel membership for as little as $1.99 a month, head over to my channel profile and hit the join button to view all of the available perks. Thanks! Hey there everyone, and welcome back today to the channel for an all-new upload. So recently an interview was held on the TTV YouTube channel, and a few prominent community members interviewed Tommy Andreasen and asked him all kinds of different questions. I'm going to assume you're already familiar with this. A lot of these questions we have already kind of talked about the answers to and broken down right here on the channel to give you guys a bit more of an insight into what went down during the interview. Things are going to be a little bit different now though, as a YouTuber by the name of Duckbricks, which you may very well be familiar with, has basically gone ahead and compiled absolutely everything from that interview into a document available to read. I'll leave the link in the description if you're interested in checking it out yourself, but today I want to go over some of this and pick out some specific details from it, which is, again, what I want to go over today. Now, the topic in particular that I would really like to talk about isn't anything relating to Ninjago's future to make a change, because a lot of what I've been talking about recently has been relating to 2023 Ninjago, but this time, no, instead, it's a very interesting detail from the past, actually, this time regarding Nia. Now, I'm going to read this out now, and afterwards we will break it down and discuss it. So here is the small segment I'm going to be reading out to you guys. It reads here: designers in Billund said Nia had to come back. Original pitch was that Nia was out to sea, but forgot who she was and became this force of nature, generating a great vortex in the middle of the ocean that drew Ninjago and the Dark Island back together. Two temples bringing together, dark matter coming from Dark Island to Ninjago, but they wanted to give Nia the agency to bring herself back. Perhaps a bad guy was gathering Vengestone to dump it into the sea to mess with Nia's mind. One idea. They knew some toys already, but had to fit some logic to it. Crystalized is the structure of Return of the Jedi. Now, this is, well, overall, very, very interesting, and I want to kind of break some specific things down and basically just give my take and thoughts on it. So, first of all, Nia had to come back. That was set in stone by designers, set designers I presume, which I guess does make a good amount of sense here, as the sets do actually come before the show. Bit of a fun fact is there, in case you didn't already know that. This is very interesting though, as Nia was essentially going to be the driving force between the Dark Island, obviously kind of the Overlord faction of things, and the main Ninjago Island that we know, specifically coming together once again, which would have been an absolute huge change to the land of Ninjago, and I'm sure it would have been pretty major for the story plot as well. This also would have been the driving force behind the Overlord's return, I presume, as it does also mention the dark matter kind of coming to the good side of the Ninjago Island, so I presume that would be the way the Overlord makes his debut and return from Crystalized. So Nia would basically end up being the driving force behind the two sides coming together, and then the dark matter would seep through to the main island of Ninjago, and it would set up everything for Crystalized that way. So I do actually like that idea, I do kind of wish that happened, but I can understand why it didn't happen. Instead of that, though, they wanted Nia to basically have the power to bring herself back, which again, it does make sense. They did also have an idea that Vengestone was basically out at sea, and that was messing with her mind. They also touched on the fact that maybe a specific person was actually doing this on purpose to mess with her mind. I guess the Vengestone could kind of interrupt the Niad state she was in some way, as it is kind of elemental and it is centered around elemental powers, in a way, so I could definitely see how the Vengestone would obviously have a direct effect on her as a result of that. It's interesting though to speculate on who that person may have been. Would it have been a new character, or would it have been someone we already know of? Definitely something to keep in mind there, and is very interesting if that was to ever actually happen. And they do also mention that Crystalized is the structure of Return of the Jedi, so that is definitely interesting. Obviously, Tommy Andreasen is a massive Star Wars fan, if you guys didn't know, and honestly, if you go back through Ninjago and pick out a few key plot details, you know, a lot of it is actually kind of based around Star Wars in a way, and it does have that very heavy Star Wars theme. Kind of subtle, but when you think about it a bit more, it does make a whole lot more sense. So yeah, it would make sense that Crystalized also incorporates some of those Star Wars themes. So I think this is really interesting, to be honest. It definitely provides a bit more of an insight into Nia, how she returned, and kind of just more details surrounding her overall, post-Seabound. And it's also really interesting to know that Nia was basically going to be the reason the two sides, you know, the Dark Island and normal Ninjago Island Island come together once again. Because if you look at Ninjago Island from a bird's eye view, for example, it's basically yin and yang. So I think it would have been really interesting to see those two yin-yang sides actually come together once more and form a full island. I think that would have been overall really interesting and could have been great for the plot overall, I think. Definitely a shame that didn't happen. Again, I think it would have been awesome and it really caught my attention when first reading from this paragraph. But yeah, what can you really do about it? It's something that will be added to the pile of Ninjago concepts that unfortunately didn't happen. But again, I do really appreciate Tommy Andreasen coming out and sharing some of this stuff with us because again, it provides a lot more of a better insight into everything and everything surrounding Nia's return and whatnot. With all of this being said though, I think that is just about going to do it from me here. However, I do encourage all of you to drop all of your own thoughts down below on this in the comments. I would love to hear them. If you enjoyed today's video here, be sure to leave a like on it, subscribe for more, and hit that notification bell so that you can be the first to view my new videos whenever I do post them. With all of this being said though, I will see you all very soon for my next one. Goodbye.